So we're back with more news and more trash this week. We're doing a second part to the episode, and that's because we've got some Nintendo Direct stuff to cover. Hi, I'm Prob.
And I am Rob.
And welcome back to the second part of News Trash for this week, where we take an extended look at the more interesting happenings from the last 7 days from the world of video games. Now, we left off in the previous episode with...
The previous episode was very heavy.
Yeah, it was very, very heavy. There was all sorts of legalistic stuff about Activision Blizzard. There's all sorts of stuff about China. Very, very, very dense, very heavy.
So, fingers crossed, today's episode isn't as scary news.
No. I mean, we're kicking off with Microsoft, who have been in the news, and they've been in the news with something that, on the surface, might actually seem a little bit fun. See, they released their Xbox September system update, and that introduces a new Edge web browser to the Series X and the Series S consoles. Yeah?
Which is an underrated feature, honestly, having a browser on your console.
Oh, God, yeah. But here's the thing. The latest version of the Edge web browser is, well, it has improved web standards and a fast, secure, modern browsing experience right from your console. That's according to Microsoft. But it's also the Chromium version of Edge, which means it can run Google Stadia, which means not only now can you have Game Pass on your Series X and Series S, you can also access Google Stadia from your Series X and Series S.
And this is on top of paying £20 for developer mode, which allows you to run software. Yeah. You can play old PlayStation games and old Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Emulate old Nintendo games. They've really snuck this one on, haven't they, with the Xbox, this generation of Xboxes and the things they can pull off.
I know. It's so much fun when you get right down to it. There's so many people having fun with the Series X and the Series S. And I know that PlayStation are doing really, really well in terms of their sales of PlayStation 5s. But I honestly think the Series X and the Series S are going to make a big comeback.
Honestly, I think in the entire history of video games at home consoles, this generation is the biggest and most obvious time to ever double dip with one from each side.
Yeah.
And it's the most obvious time to ever do that.
I never understood the whole idea of having of being in one particular camp anyway, because
I've got a PlayStation 5. I had an Xbox Series X, but I'm not getting to that. And I'm probably going to get a Series S at some point because Game Pass, it's kind of become like a drinking game in any Xbox podcast. How many times to say Game Pass? It's like you kill yourself because it's just the only thing to talk about. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And the software that they've put on it that allows you to run, not just xCloud, it can run Stadia as well.
This is the thing.
It's a really shrewd bit of hardware and get both,
Yeah. I don't understand why you would limit yourself to just one.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. We'll see. There'll be other innovations that appear just because Microsoft, I think, have reached that stage where they're like, do you know, wouldn't it be cool if our Series X owners could do this? They're like, yeah. How do we do that? Well, you just do this and this and this. Okay, let's do that. And I think that's the stage that they're at, where they're just like, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah. So kind of on this, it's weird for a company the size of Microsoft to be on the side of gamers.
Yeah.
Rather than, big business.
I think it's just
they kind of are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's...
I'm like I said, I'm saying this as a PlayStation 5 gamer.
Yeah, I think it's Phil Spencer is in that phase right now. Just one of the engineers just randomly walks up to him in the corridor and says, "Phil, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this with the console?" That sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's basically all it is. Conversation like that results in stuff like this. And I think that's all that's happening now is they're just saying, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this or if it could do that? Wouldn't it be cool if the console could transform into a robot and make you breakfast? And Phil Spencer's going, that sounds cool. How do we make that happen?
Yeah. It's a console where you don't know what they're going to add next, I think, is what the medicated Rob is trying to say.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, Microsoft also in the news because there is a reboot of Perfect Dark.
Yeah, this is a trailer for this dropped a good while back.
Yeah.
Done by The Initiative.
Yes. Now, Perfect Dark is one of those ones, I really liked the character of Joanna Dark. And I really liked the original Perfect Dark game. Perfect Dark Zero wasn't that great, but the original Perfect Dark was a fantastic game.
Doesn't hold up. So don't go back playing it, because it does not hold up at all. But at the time, it was amazing.
Yeah. And it's being co-developed by Crystal Dynamics.
They've been brought on board to help out with the initiative, and the internet has gone, the Xbox can't make games, they need help to I don't know what that noise I'm making is. It's sort of like internet smug laugh.
See, do you know what I find hilarious about it is that the internet's going, Microsoft can't make games. And you do realise it's just Crystal Dynamics. They're owned by Square Enix. They're not owned by PlayStation. And Square also aren't owned by PlayStation. Just because historically they've made games for PlayStation doesn't mean to say that they're owned by PlayStation.
And also, many companies help out other companies with games, and just because Crystal Dynamics are helping out, it doesn't mean it's the main development team. They can just lend a small group to work on a certain thing, but because they belong to Crystal Dynamics, everybody assumes it's the main workforce behind whatever Crystal Dynamics are doing that has been sent over to help with the initiative and Perfect Dark, which just isn't true. It's just a lot of symbiosis in the video game industry. Companies help other companies out. They're hired to help other companies out.
Yeah. And
it's just the way things are done.
Yeah. There's one game that I really want to see a reboot of, and it was a spy game. It was No One Lives Forever.
That's an odd, obscure poll you've just grabbed there.
Because I'm bouncing off the fact that Perfect Dark is also a spy game, just like GoldenEye and stuff like that. But No One Lives Forever was the one game that everybody kind of knew and everybody kind of liked, but everyone also forgot about because it was very 1960s Austin Powers type.
Yeah, and people seem to forget that Microsoft and Sony are collaborating on networks and servers.
Yeah.
So this tribalism in games, it can just go and take a long run off a short pier.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Because it's the reaction to stories like this. It's just making gamers seem like it's sort of stupid. It's just a business. And a business does whatever it needs to get the product out as good as it can.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Moving on to a game a franchise that both you and I adore. And it is getting a remaster. Now, Bandai Namco owns the rights to this particular franchise, and they have registered Wafu Encore and 1 and 2 Encore as trademarks, according to the Gematsu website. And, a lot of you probably don't know what Wafu is. The noise that the main character in the game makes. In English, it would be Wahoo, because in English, the game is called Klonoa.
Yeah, there was about 3 or 4 of them, I think.
I think there was a Klonoa volleyball game. There was Klonoa 1 and 2. I think the second one was the PS2 version, which was the Daughter Phantom Isle, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I think there was one more spin-off game for Klonoa. But yeah, I am a big fan of Klonoa. You are a big fan of Klonoa.
All I really care is they don't try and modernise it. They keep it at its roots. It's a 2D, colourful, energetic, inventive platformer. Keep it as a 2D, colourful, inventive platformer. Don't try and break it. Just keep it what it is and modernise it for now.
Yeah. Sorry, I got my titles mixed up. The original Klonoa was Daughter Phantom Isle. Lunatea's Veil was Klonoa 2.
But even so, both of them are forgotten classics. And the fact that video game developers are throwing bones to these old franchises and bringing them back from obscurity rather than forever chasing what's new. I think it it stands to put the video game industry in good stead for the future.
Yeah, I mean, Klonoa was a fantastic platform game.
It's just sort of related as well. Bringing back Alan Wake as well is exactly the same sort of thing. Bringing back these things. It's good for video games that not everything is future facing. But the problem with some games like this is when one company becomes the whatever company, and that's how you get burnout, and that's how games go away.
Yeah.
When companies try to make too many things of one type of thing and the audience gets bored of it. That's how a lot of these franchises kind of got thrown away.
Yeah. When you're too forward-facing, I mean, it's an age-old thing. If you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going, you know?
Yes.
Speaking of knowing your roots, well, remember back in the 90s? Remember what kind of a time the 90s was? Everything was hip and cool and radical. Everything was all about skateboards and backwards hats and stuff like that. Yeah.
So kind of like the early 90s as well, then, because that's exactly what you just described too.
Yeah, kind of like the early 90s, only more so.
Yeah, everything had an X thrown in for some reason and stuff was radical.
Yes, exactly. Now, during that time, here in the UK, we had certain TV shows that appeared during that time. So we had stuff like Robot Wars with Craig Charles hosting Robot Wars. And it was a bit crap, but we loved it because it was basically a guy in his shed builds a robot, sends it out to get trashed by someone else who also built a robot in his shed and just happened to be a little better at it. And then you had the modern version of Robot Wars with Dara O'Brien, which is all slick and, polished and, corporate and everything like that. And you're like, this isn't Robot Wars anymore. What happened to it being just a little bit crap? Other shows were made in a similar vein to that, and one of them was Games Master. And anyone who watched the original 90s version of Games Master knows it was about 30% crap, and that's what made it so good, was that it knew it was about 30% crap.
It was absolute crap, and it was shot in an abandoned warehouse with some weird projection of a astrophysicist wearing a mask for some reason.
Yeah.
It was garbage, but it was beloved.
Yeah.
Because at the time, there was no other way to watch people playing games on the TV. It stood out in the marketplace. It was unique. It was an oddity. But now, YouTube exists.
Yeah.
But now, video games are the biggest industry on the planet. They weren't then, but not by a long shot.
Yeah.
So what it's going to be now is not that garbage shot in a grimy-ass warehouse in the middle of nowhere with all of these weird things and kids playing, Mortal Kombat. It's going to be overproduced. This is just the fear, because this is what happens with stuff now. Is the way things are done. It's going to be a studio shot thing in a very pristine studio lot with YouTubers, with influencers, with Twitter personalities, with quirky comedians, and it's going to lose a lot of spark and the personality of what made Games Master.
Yeah,
because it has a legacy, and
because Games Master is making a comeback after 23 years. And I think that's the key thing, that because you kind of launched into it because you knew where this was going.
Yeah, I did.
The thing is, we kind of already knew it was going to be returning to E4 in the UK.
It's returning to E4? Yeah, everything I said is 1,000% right then.
Yeah. Thing is, it's going to be back later this year with a social-first partnership with Facebook's Oculus Quest 2, and it's described as spanning social, digital, and linear broadcast. All episodes will be initially premiered on E4's YouTube channel and will be followed by a linear play on E4. The series will see celebrities, gaming stars, and superfans all take part in challenges, races, and epic fights. According to the press release teasers, through virtual battles across a range of games, the competitors will try everything in their power to claim a legendary golden joystick trophy, but whilst they play, they'll be watched over by the all-knowing Games Master, famously portrayed in the original by Sir Patrick Moore. They haven't announced who the new Games Master is going to be, and I, for one, am very concerned about who they've chosen as the Games Master, because I reckon it's going to be Dara O'Brien. Because, well, number one, Dara O'Brien did that Go 8-bit, yeah? He's famously known as being an affable comedian who also plays video games, even though most comedians play video games. Well, let me put it this way. They're not going to get Greg Davies to be the games master, are they?
No, Taskmaster, isn't he? So
yeah, exactly. And being the Taskmaster and the games master, I don't think that works.
It's kind of gimmick infringement on himself.
Although I would love to see Alex Hord as the games master.
Yeah, this is going to be awful. I know I'll give things a chance and wait until they've come and made an ARA thing and give them a chance, but everything in that press release was just basically vomit-inducing.
Oh, God, yeah. I don't understand why you would bring back something like Games Master in the first place, especially now when you don't need it.
It's absolutely redundant by what's happened with modern gaming consumption.
Yeah. And all that's going to happen...
Why would the person watch it when they can watch Little Johnny Jackass on Twitch?
Yeah. I mean, all that's going to happen with this is you're going to end up with a lot of celebrities who were pretty crap at games getting really competitive with each other because they're pretty crap at games. And then they're just going to get depressed because they're not as good as somebody who nobody's ever heard of, who just happens to be on YouTube and has several million followers. Yeah. But they're not a celebrity in the normal terms.
But anyway, we could talk about this for a while. I don't want to because it's depressing. So let's move on.
Moving on to something that has got the internet, well, certain parts of the internet, Nintendo parts of the internet, in a bit of a, they got their knickers in a bit of a twist over this. Chris Pratt has been cast as Mario in the animated adaptation, which is dated for around Christmas time, 2022.
I thought I got all of the sort of the guttural noises out of my system with the Games Master story, but I think I'm going to have to cut to the bank and withdraw a few more off the list because this is just disturbing.
Yeah.
I think the reason for this is, I don't know, it's just about genuineness of character.
Yeah.
I think Chris Pratt is just about a couple of 100% too smug to be in something like this.
Yeah. This is the thing. He's playing the lead role.
So Mario. He's playing Mario.
Yeah, he's going to be voicing Mario. He's going to be joined by Charlie Day as Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, and Jack Black is going to be Bowser. Seth Rogen's going to be Donkey Kong. Toad is going to be Keegan-Michael Key. Fred Armisen is going to take on the role of Cranky Kong. Kevin Michael Richardson has been chosen to be Kamek, and Sebastian Maniscalco is going to be Spike.
No objections with any of the rest of the cast, but I don't know, it's just something about Chris Pratt. Doesn't feel genuine. And I know you don't need to be genuine to do a role, you're just an actor, but this is possibly the most famous character in all of pop culture. Not just movies, not just video games, not whatever. He's just the most well-known. Everybody knows Mario. It's kind of like McDonald's level sort of market penetration, to use that term.
Yeah.
And to have somebody who, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. There's no real reason or justification I can say for why it doesn't feel right. You know, that feeling that you get in the bottom of your gut. And I always say, trust your gut.
So who would you have chosen to play the role of Mario?
Well, I wouldn't have made the movie to begin with.
But say you were in charge of making the movie, who would you want? Who would you think could play the role of Mario?
Well, you want somebody who has a history of voice acting, because I think they did particularly well in casting Sonic, because he has that ideal sort of temperament for such a character.
See, do you know what?
I don't know who it is, but let's just say spitballing here. I don't know what the actor's called, but the guy who played Fix-It Felix in Wreck-It Ralph, I think, is much more of the right headspace for the sort of casting you want to do.
Actually, I could go with that. Fix-It Felix, I think, was a decent voice. I've never understood why, and this, somebody out there, please explain this to me, because I understand the whole draw of celebrities to the box office and stuff like that, but you're talking about something that is an adaptation of a video game, and so the main people it's going to attract are the people who play the video game. And so
Mario is many times bigger than Chris Pratt.
Yeah, and my point is that of on a scale of 1 to Charles Martinet, who basically is the voice of Mario.
He passed away though, didn't he?
Yeah, he passed away, but there are people who can basically do that voice who also worked with Charles Martinet. Why not choose one or several of them to play the role?
Oh, yeah, no, just spitballing. Also, again, get Frank Oz. There you go.
Yeah. There are loads of people who can play the role of Mario who are more fitting, more in with the video games industry and the video games crowd, and that the video games crowd would be happy with. You don't have to choose a big-name Hollywood actor just because all you're doing... Yeah, all you're doing is adding to the production cost.
Yeah, that is the term for this. This is stunt casting.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. But, it's one of the many, 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 many things. Well, I say many, 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 many. It wasn't that many. But it was one of the many things that was announced at Nintendo's Direct, which we're going to launch into with...
Trailer trash.
Yes. So anyway, things like Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak got a teaser. Now, this is one of those expansions to Monster Hunter Rise, which is apparently massive in scale, and it's going to introduce new stories, locations, monsters, yada, yada, yada. All well and good, but I don't really play Monster Hunter. I've played the original Monster Hunter games and all the way through, but I never really got into playing the MMO.
Yeah, it's absolutely gulfed what it was, Monster Hunter, and became this entire new thing, spanning many, many different genres. Because the style of this, it looks quite dark fantasy.
Yeah, because I got into playing Monster Hunter on the PlayStation Portable and on the PlayStation 2. That's when I was playing Monster Hunter, and I don't know, now it's just so very, very different to what I was originally playing, so it feels like I've missed the bus kind of thing with it now. There's a new update to Animal Crossing New Horizons with a much-loved pigeon barista called Brewster.
Puns.
Yeah. Anyway, other things that got announced was a remake, I think it is, of Chocobo Racing, which is called Chocobo GP, which is just a Mario Kart clone involving Final Fantasy Chocobos. We got more of a look at Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars, which is that card-based RPG from Yoko Taro, and that's due to arrive on the Switch on the 28th of October. One thing that did catch my attention was ActRaiser Renaissance. Now, a lot of modern gamers won't know what ActRaiser is. ActRaiser was one of those classic hack-and-slash platform games in the kind of style of Castlevania and Metroid and games like that. But it never really got a lot of attention outside of certain circles. It was very RPG-esque, but I really liked it, and I still have my ActRaiser 1 and 2 cartridges sitting on my shelf. So I was actually quite happy to see a reboot or Renaissance kind of game for ActRaiser. I was also surprised to see it as well, because it wasn't something that was on my radar. And that's kind of alongside the Castlevania Advance collection, which is all of the Game Boy Advance games of Castlevania, which is, that's an interesting one to go by. A couple of other ones that surprised me with how good they look. Splatoon 3.
Looks like they're adding an awful lot more to that than the previous ones, because 1 and 2 were basically, it could have just been level packs. One another.
Exactly.
But this looks like they're really putting a lot more into it.
Yeah. When you're talking about powerful video game characters, Kirby obviously isn't at the top of the list, but Kirby...
Of course he is. Kirby is the most powerful video game character.
Exactly.
Everything. Because he eats everybody and takes their powers. He is the ultimate character. Nobody stands a chance against Kirby.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a new Kirby trailer for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, which I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, it's new Kirby, and he has his fans.
I wasn't too impressed with the previous Kirby game, but I'm always on the lookout for a good one. The big reveal of Nintendo Direct, though, the big reveal, and we knew it was coming, was Bayonetta 3.
Well, they hoped it was coming because it's kind of been stagnant for a long time, and there's been lots of claims of, is it still even in development? And the developer said, yeah, it's in development. Shut up, Internet. And now it's been dropped, a trailer with a 2022 release date, and I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not got a Switch, so I'm not really in the target audience, but nonetheless, I was very, very disappointed with this trailer.
I get what they're trying to go for, but it feels, to me, just the entire look and attitude of Bayonetta in the trailer. I've always been critical of certain aspects of the video games audience, and the pushback that the character designer for Bayonetta got for the design of Bayonetta was one of the things that actually made me angry, because somebody had chosen to make a character the way that they envisioned it. So, that's how they want to make the character. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have a different opinion doesn't mean to say that you get to bully them. But what it looks like, because from the first to the second game, it felt like Bayonetta as a character had some growth, some development. The second game showed Bayonetta in a different light. But this, just from the trailer, just from the initial view, it feels like it's taken a bit of a step back, and Bayonetta is a little bit less of a mature character. I don't know.
Yeah, to recite something what I said in yesterday's episode, she is 100% a dat-ass character, because the way they've made her up.
Yeah.
It seems like there's less substance in her presentation. This seems like a character. This is internet discussion here, but like when they said the Captain Marvel character played by Brie Larson should smile more.
Yeah.
This feels like a character who took that feedback to heart and reacted and developed it in the right way.
Yeah.
That crowd wanted it to be developed. Whereas before, she was a very strong female character who was very fiercely independent, and now it feels like a reaction to something.
Yeah. That's basically the vibe I'm getting from it, is that it feels more of a reactionary thing rather than a proactive thing.
Right, so that's all we have time for in part 2 of News Trash. Please click subscribe and that notification bell to stay up to date with all the things that we do. Also, like this video, comment below with your thoughts on any of the things that we said. I assume you have things to say about what we had to say about Bayonetta. If you like what we do, you can also check out our Patreon. Coming up on the end of the month, we have the latest edition of Director's Lottery, a random chance movie podcast in which we put a load of movie makers in a big random bag, pick a number and do 2 of their movies. So check out our Patreon to find out which director we did and get involved over there. But until next time, where we'll be doing 2 episodes of News Trash every week, we're just sort of figuring out the kinks. Thank you very, very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.